Greetings, my fellow YouTubers. I'm Doyle, aka the Big D of Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. Now, I proudly bring to you, in a way, another review in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. This time, it's, you guessed it, 1991's Freddy's Dead, the Final Nightmare, which I rewatched so that way I could prepare myself for this review. I think this one might be a little more short than what I had anticipated to do with Dream Child in the last review. But anyway, I'm not going to give too much of details on the cast because they're kind of long forgotten except for a young Breckenmeyer. But anyway, Robert Englund once again returns as Freddy Krueger, and believe me, the way his face looks is even worse than Dream Child. Still looks like he used like wads of bubble gum. Yeah, believe me, I'm agreeing with you, Ellen, my young friend. Anywho, lots of people really hate this movie. Now, I know Ogre Boy 1992 likes this, and I completely understand. I don't quite care much for this movie like I do as much as I do with Dream Child, but because of Freddy being 3 times triple the amount of Looney Tunes he's got in his system than the last movie. Why is that? Because it's so cartoony. Anyway, we're seeing an unnamed supposed John Doe picturing Freddy in his nightmares. First, after escaping from a big plane, and then soon seeing his house falling down, and soon Freddy appears a la Wicked Witch of the West from Wizard of Oz, like, "I'll get you, my pretty, and your little soul, too." That's a factually fun one-liner, but, well, I can tell you this, that this kind of goes downhill a little bit. So we see this woman named Maggie who, well, works for like this juvie hall, and apparently she finds the John Doe and decides to take him to Springwood, believing that there's a connection between him and Freddy Krueger. But unfortunately, she gets 3 of her stowaways. Yes, Tracy, Carlos, and Spencer, played by young Breckenmeyer. Now, they soon arrive in Springwood and kind of get caught up loop like what we saw in The Dream Master almost. But anyway, and it's still end up in Springwood. Now they first encounter this weird carnival where there's only big grown-ups, and they actually encounter Roseanne. Yeah, Roseanne Barr, well, when she was married to Tom Arnold. Now, of course, they were credited as Mr. and Mrs. Tom Arnold. So, soon, it's getting nighttime. They just can't get back to where they are, while Maggie and the John Doe are trying to get some answers. The other 3 arrive at a house that looks okay, but unfortunately, as it turns out, it's the big Elm Street house that once belonged to Nancy Thompson, but of course is also Freddy's home. And soon he goes after these teenagers one by one, though he only gets 2 of them. First is Carlos, who, well, the first half of his nightmare I really hate a lot. He sees a vision of his mother and to clean his ear out and try to make him deaf, and, well, it's Freddy in disguise, and stabs that console right through one ear out of the other. I didn't like that. That kind of made one of my least favorite moments. Now, that isn't one of my least favorites. I thought it was, but I was wrong. It's the first half, but the rest of it's, well, alright and stuff. And he swipes off his ear and takes the hearing aid with him, make him deaf instantly. and he keeps following him around, and soon he soon gives it back to him, but it soon turns into like these little leg things, like I don't know, like the alien, and attacked him, made a super hearing aid, and super hearing aid, it causes him to hear real loud noises, especially water dripping. Then he tries to prevent Neil from falling, but Freddy causes more Neil's fall, which was really irritating. And soon, this movie actually had some 3D moments. That's another negative people have. I kind of do have a bit of a negative with that as well, as he brings in this blackboard and he starts stretching out, kind of like what Phineas J. Whoopi does with the three-dimensional blackboard intensity tuxedo in his tails. And apparently, he takes his claw and gives a shrill screech like nails on a chalkboard every time Carlos can't even handle, and boom! Head blows off like a paper bag. And then he catches the ear. He's like, "Nice hearing from you, Carlos." Spencer's the next target, and he is a video game addict. And from what I've seen, I feel like he was, as a teen, this is a teenager, and I think was hooked on video games in his teens more than I was, sort of. So apparently, we see a kind of like one of those the drug commercials. This year, bring on drugs. It's with the egg in the frying pan. And it had Johnny Depp, who of course was big on TV's 21 Jump Street, and which that happened to have been canceled. And of course, he was one of the stars in the original. And he was the guy, and Frey just whaps him in the face. And then he sees Spencer's like, "Hey, Spence, let's trip out." And soon we hear the beginning of In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida by Iron Butterfly, which that's definitely a very good song, actually. Well, Maggie and Tracy arrive too late, and Spencer's in this video game, which is kind of weird and stuff. I feel like it would have been better if they had gotten the rights to do it to make it look like the old Nightmare on Elm Street game for NES, because now there was a Nightmare on Elm Street game for the NES released in 1989, the same year we got Dream Child. If you haven't seen my review on it, look it up. Although the game is published by the infamous LJN, but it was developed by the British company Rare, who of course was the company behind Battletoads, Killer Instinct, the original Donkey Kong Country trilogy, plus a lot of other games. So, apparently, Spencer becomes real super nuts, Alfred, and tries to get past weird video game versions of his dad, and he's soon with, Tracy and the John Doe manage to catch up and stops Freddy with his control, but says, "Hey, you forgot the Power Glove!" And Nintendo, the NES Power Glove, probably one of the most infamous things. And he starts going, and this goes more Looney Tunes. Ugh. Till he gets smacked down to the pit of dads, and soon gets knocked down to a big hole of a pit. One of the real least favorite dad. Not the real stairs fall into a stupid pit. What in the heck? I'm trying not to go all ranting and what have you, say much strong language, so I hope you'll understand. So apparently they managed to get out, but soon the John Doe gets it when he's having another dream of him getting out of the plane, but with a parachute. Freddy thinks he's his son, but he's rogue. He's kind of the straps and plummets, and the John Doe plummets to his death. That's You guessed it, Freddy, another Louis Tunes thing, a la Wile E. Coyote pushes in a bed of spikes. And John Doe crushed falls on there and he's history. And Freddy's back up and going. And soon we find out through some flashbacks, Maggie is the real one that has brought Freddy back. She was his daughter. Now that was sort of a factual decent aspect. Seeing flashbacks of Freddy before he even got burned, yeah. And as a young one where he kills this here, I don't know, a rat or a guinea pig or whatever, and those kids making fun of like son of 100 maniacs, and soon. And then when he was a big teenager and he gets beaten by his dad, played by glam rock legend Alice Cooper, which that was a pretty good cameo. I did like that. But soon they manage to get away, but Freddy continues to find Maggie and Tracy, plus this doctor whose name was Doc. Yeah, that was the character's name back to the juvie home, but Maggie had to figure a way was to drag Freddy into the real world. So she does, and apparently she manages to do it and also we see these little dream snake looking things giving Freddy more power and what have you, but soon later on Maggie gets him, drags him into the real world. And well, Freddy apologized for stuff, but soon she just tells him Happy Father's Day and in the end stabs him with a pipe bomb. And Freddy's last words like, "Kids," and boom. Yeah, see one Freddy come out of the other, weird 3D way. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't have 3D glasses. That would have been a little freaky and all that jazz. And Tracy kind of had a bit of a nightmare as well, but she managed to get through and get past Freddy. But in the end, Freddy's been taken care of, and I love the final words Maggie says. The title of this movie, Freddy's Dead. Then we get to hear the Freddy's Dead theme done by Iggy Pop, where we see a compilation of all the great kills and what have you from the 6 movies. And that's how the movie goes. When I think of Freddy's Dead, well, it's still my least favorite of the franchise. I mean, although I have yet to see the 2010 remake completely, this is still my least favorite. I don't hate this movie a lot. It's just not the best I've seen of the Nightmare franchise. I'd say avoid this unless you are a completionist. If you're having a Nightmare marathon, go on and watch this. But you've been warned, okay? And I should have warned you when you're watching it, since I talked about the movie. Robert Englund is still alright, but still not good, because I didn't like the way his face looked, because it looked worse than the 5th one. Well, some of the cast was kind of bland in ways. Maggie was, pretty good. But I liked Tracy, though. She was good. Carlos was an okay character. Spencer was an okay character. I just didn't care much for his death. And Doc is alright, and what have you. But enough said. This had some okay music, but some of the music was pretty good. The intro song, what have you. Now, the film was directed by Rachel Talalay, who was actually one of the few people who worked on about all the other Nightmare movies. So, enough said, people. Alright, let me know what you thought about Freddy's Dead, the Final Nightmare, if you like it or you don't like it. Just let me know what you thought about in the comments section. Like and subscribe to my channel and be a part of the Big D Nation. Join me again tomorrow when I continue with the film that really redeems redeems itself and breathes new life into the franchise, Wes Craven's New Nightmare. But I'll have more stuff coming up. But I'm not going to bring that up in this video because this is Nightmare on Elm Street I'm discussing here. As I take the Freddy glove off. So, anyway, until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya.